The astrology for the week of Monday, the 9th of December through to Sunday, the 15th, is all about Venus, who is going to form an opposition to Mars on the middle of this week on the 12th of December, but she's in rough shape up until that point. And that's because she's receiving difficult rays from Pluto and from Mars. And this makes her condition challenged when it comes to love and money and peace stories. But there's hope on the horizon as she crosses through that opposition into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, where we may see a turnaround around difficult love, money, peace stories in each of our lives and in the world. It's really exciting to see the week after she forms a lucky trine to Jupiter, but that's next week's astrology. Also, we got asteroid Zeus for the king of Mount Olympus, Wuhan for military overthrow and conquests of nations, especially taking over the emperor in ancient history of Wuhan itself, Amycus, which is an interesting story about using an object as a weapon. And we also have another little detail in the devils, and that is Bacchus, the god of Dionysian revelry, going to an extreme in some area of great passion. And why these asteroids matter, these minor asteroids, the devil is in the details, is they are hanging out with Venus this week. And we're going to tell you how they might play out in our lives as the days go on. And she keeps connecting to these very interesting asteroid stories, particularly Zeus. Also, one thing I want to talk about this week is the really not quite existent Mercury in a flowing relationship to Mars. They're trying to really hook up, but they don't just quite make it happen. And this is going to give us a sense of something that wants to occur in our lives or for the world. And we're wanting it to happen, but it doesn't, because Mercury is the information guy and Mars is the action and decisions guy. And nothing quite gets going on that territory of close but not quite. Also, what I want to mention is I'm an astrology teacher type, and I'm going to teach you something. Please stick around for a lesson, because I want to show you how this this opposition of Mars to the sign to Venus across from each other 180 degrees away, that this is a part of a cycle that began in your life and in my life in February of 2024, just like it did in the same time, and believe it was in March of 2022. Guess what? That cycle in March of 22 and February of 2024 was Mars and Venus coming together in a conjunction. It has a 2-year narrative. And in the sign of Aquarius, we don't get that again until 2054 and 2056. But we did last see it in 1977 and 1992 and in 1966. So stay tuned for a little mini lesson at the beginning of this. I'd like to teach you how to fish instead of giving you a fish. Speaking of fishing, who am I? I am Lori Lothian, fishing for your subscriptions. So please like, subscribe, and please hit that notification bell. This is the every third month dump of my subscribers by YouTube. I don't know if every other channel has this problem, but every third month, they just dump people out the bottom of my channel. So I check in, they tell me they're doing it. I say, okay, bots, you're all bots. So if you're not subscribed, please do. And if you think you are, you might want to double check, because you could pretty well count on every third month you're probably being unsubscribed by YouTube. Also, guess what? I still have my 2024 videos available. 2025 videos available. Check it out below. You can get a bundle of videos that's 12 times 2 hours. These are downloadable, audio and video format, individual PDF guidebooks for each sign. Plus, you get an unlisted link on my YouTube channel to watch the video that way as well. This material was my labor of love to buy myself ring lights and new video editors and help my channel grow. Would you mind? That would be so wonderful if you want to grab that. And you can buy your own sign, or you can buy the whole bundle. It's never on YouTube. One more thing. I just joined Substack. I'm loving it. I'm writing again. I'm a journalist. I'm a fiction writer. I'm an award-winning poet. I got my writing groove back on. Thank you, Chironic Wound, in my house of writing since 2019. Check it out. It's called the Pluto Chronicles, and there's going to be an audio podcast as well, maybe video. And basically what I'm doing over there is I'm writing again, and I'm writing about things in a more journalistic or passionate way. So if you want to check that out, I've got a couple articles already out in the Pluto Chronicles Chronicles and an all signs forecast for every sign for the month of December for the Pluto story. Basically, this is a whole section of my reality dedicated to Pluto and Aquarius, because of course I'm an Aquarius rising and Pluto for the next 20 years is in my sign. So I am fascinated by the journey. So it's a bit of a blog, but it's certainly information for you. And it's also more world astrology, where I might be able to say a few things that I can't hear on YouTube without getting into some hot water with the advertisers. All right. Thanks. Go check it out. It's free. It's in the description box below. You will find the link to my Substack, Pluto Chronicles newsletter. All right, guys, let's talk this week ahead. And I don't always mind Pluto I don't always mind Venus in an opposition to Mars, but just coming off of Pluto, she becomes entrapped. It's ancient astrology. It's really weird. Let me show you what this entrapment looks like. And then we're going to go ahead and do the synodic cycle. What I think about this is that with a grain of salt, let's take a look at it. The ancients had a thing for the idea of a planet being besieged or, maltreated and having rays hurled at them. So there's a very basic principle in Hellenistic or ancient astrology. And it goes like this. Let me move Venus back in time to the beginning of this week, if you don't mind. So now we're going to come into the beginning of the week. And we're on Sunday right here. I'm recording this on Saturday. No, I'm recording it today. And you can see that on Saturday, when my Patreon community gets this early access ad free, but you can see that Pluto and Venus are co-joined here. And in essence, are having a union or a conjunction. But as we continue forward and we move into Monday, sorry, if I could do this, I sure can. And we move into Sunday, and then we move into Monday. Now, here's what you're noticing. You'll notice that Mars is retrograding at 6 degrees. Now, he's actually backing up towards Venus, but he's also hurling rays backwards. Technically, I think he's still hurling his rays backwards, even if he's retrograde. And it's the idea, you ever watch those shows where you end up seeing, people in a car chase and someone gets in the back, the back seat of the car or whatever, starts shooting boom, 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 boom at the tires of the planet that's chasing it. This is Mars. And he's shooting bullets backwards, okay? And who's chasing him? Well, Venus. Venus is moving this way. But it happens to be that actually Mars is moving towards her. But let's just say he's still hurling rays backwards, hypothetically. I don't know if he is. It's a question. But if he is, if you were to cut a line this way, right? From Mars across the way to 6 degrees of Aquarius, his rays are pointing towards Venus. Right. And she's got Pluto on her back. She's gone past him, and now Pluto's behind her. And this position of Pluto behind her means that he's in this sort of superior position. And so he's giving her negative vibes as she's trying to escape him, and she's hurling rays back at Pluto. And Mars is basically hurling rays at her. So she's kind of like contained, besieged, stuck between these two difficult planets. And ancient world didn't use Pluto, so I don't even know if this will pertain. It's not like we're talking about, we're talking about maybe she's wedged between this difficult rock and a hard place. But ultimately, I'm just going to go with the idea that she's got some trouble from Mars because she has to cross this 6 degree mark, and then she's beyond his rays. So she's wedged. Let me draw it for you. I'm going to just draw it because this is a really cool idea. I will draw it with my annotations. That's what I will use, because that's what you're supposed to use. There's Mars, and at 6 degrees over here, 6 degrees, Venus will eventually come into contact. And that is going to be, or 5 degrees. I think by then it's 5 degrees. It's 5 degrees because Mars is moving backwards. So at 5 degrees on Thursday, the 12th, Venus will be exactly opposite Mars. And then when she moves past that point, she's out of harm's way. And you can see that she's got this guy, Pluto, breathing down her back. And there's this little zone of placement here where this traveling between 0 and 5 degrees of the sign of Aquarius is where she's in hot water, or it's Aquarius in some really gnarly air, right? Someone just farted and she wants to get the hell out of there because it's some bad air there, and she's not in good shape. Why does this matter? Because if you want to have your romantic life, your friendships with your people you care about, your money stories and your kindness and friendship stories and your peace stories, including for the world, peace, then you're not going to see it happening very easily. She's in debility, she's maltreated. So you might think about this proactively. I would advise us all to be very careful with a kind of broad Venus Pluto conjunction, especially still very active or engaged on Monday, opposite Mars, who's like a fighter. Them's fighting words. There is a great quote by Joan Crawford about love. And don't forget, Venus's category of reality is love. And she says something like, love is a fire, whether it burns down your home or warms your hearth, who knows? And that quote, because she has a Venus Pluto aspect in her chart, the actress, former actress Joan Crawford, she's dead by now, I think. She's Mommy Dearest. Bottom line is, I think she's Mommy Dearest. That is a definite story with Venus, especially in these harder conditions. So what I mean by that is, as we move into this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, be very careful about the ways in which you engage with friendship, kindness, love, peace, romance. You're going to find this is a very turbocharged, or what is it, hair trigger or difficult time. And so I refrain from making war, make peace instead. If you can not make peace, refrain from making war. Well, and also for the world, because I will be doing your sign. This is kind of a look at this from a bigger perspective. You might wonder why she's in this muddle of asteroids. What does it mean? She came off of Bacchus as we head into Monday, Tuesday. Bacchus is the god of divine intoxication, losing it, but also intense creative focus in a project. Now, you know, we go, oh no, what could that be? I know it sounds just so daunting, right? You're like, oh no, not that. Is everybody going to get debauchery and, you know, orgies going? No. But if I go back to this story, I'm going to get that drawing out of my way. And I just tell you about some of the ways these asteroids work without making it dramatic. There's the devil is in the details here. You'll see that as we got into Saturday, she was completely co-joined here with Pluto. And this is Bacchus behind her. And as we moved into Sunday and Monday, now Monday, Bacchus is with Pluto and Venus is further on, but she's still in an engagement orb. So for example, maybe on Monday, be cautious that you don't overindulge in hedonistic, escapist revelry and ecstasy. It's not a good day to say yes to the orgy. It's not a great day to go off and party hard. I have an invitation to a happy hour with a couple of girlfriends. I don't even drink middays happy hours. I'm like, give me my wine once my dinner's cooked. I guess I'm more like that. And so I keep saying to myself, note to file, Lori, if you're going to do a happy hour thing at 5:00 on Monday, then just have one drink or just have 1.5 drinks, whatever the happy hour special is, or hopefully they water it down. So this is what I'm trying to say. Take note, Monday, hedonistic excess is possible. And with the proximity to Pluto, in your own life, just be careful. And as she moves forward, one step at a time, we get to December the 10th. Now, this is Tuesday, and Venus is at 4 degrees. And now she's kind of getting ready to kick Bacchus to the curb. Maybe you have a hangover on Tuesday, but you're like, no more divine revelry. There's Bacchus. You know, he's almost completely disengaged from her by this time. Right here, right behind her, is the asteroid Amycus. Now, Amycus is a tricky one because, and I think of our personal lives, I don't think I can make as much sense of Amycus. But in the world, I might be able to make sense of Amycus. So let me tell you all about this little baby. And you can see that she crosses into contact with Amycus on Monday. And if we go back a little bit, Sunday. So Sunday, Monday, she's going through Amycus, this asteroid. I think it could be a useful delineation. Let me tell you what Amycus is about. I hope I said it right. Amycus. So Amycus is the first centaur to engage in a battle with a lapis by grabbing a sacred candle holder from a shrine and using it as a weapon. He was killed by another Lapithian. He's the first centaur to engage a battle with a lapis. Okay, he was killed by a Lapithian. Finding an anomaly. So the software writer here says finding an anomaly in a system and using the anomaly against the system, striving for power and that can lead to being taken over by a power lust. Okay, so we can go power lust. Let's make it simple, right? What if you were going to fall into a power lust as an individual? What would a power lust look like? When we're talking about Venus Pluto energies nearby. You could be like going into fatal attraction obsession with somebody. You might want to do something really crazy because you're jealous or possessive in order to grab their attention. You want to have all the power in a work setting and you do something really nefarious, like clobber your opponent with like salacious gossip. So the boss hires you and up levels you. So be careful for darker stories on Monday and Tuesday where your better instincts aren't exactly working well. Your operating system is power lust and ecstasy and revelry and hedonism and power grabs. What about the world? What would that look like? Venus does represent women, and we're going to get to kings and women, or Zeus and women, or power and women, because Zeus is over here, right over here, and just means leader, king of the Olympians. But what the heck, it's about being at the top of the mountain. And you can see that Venus is coming to contact here. And this is going to be very obvious Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Woman in power, and yet no longer in this malefic enclosure or this besiegement or whatever I would call it, this hurling rays problem. Because after Thursday, when she moves out of the opposition and into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, she is no longer in difficult shape. And in fact, she is in positive shape compared to before, because she's chasing to catch up with Jupiter, and Jupiter is moving towards her, and they're sending each other love beams and positive lucky beams. So the difficult energies mostly through until Thursday. And then we can breathe a sigh of relief. Keep the story going forward. Watch Venus up here. I'm going to just teach you about how she bumps into minor asteroid bodies from the asteroid belt. Now, this is Wuhan. Wuhan has a lot of meanings. Of course, it means now today lab leak, but Wuhan, I remember saying it was a lab leak. I said that probably in the first 5 months of COVID. Of course, I was totally slammed as a conspiracy theorist. I said there was a proxy war in the Ukraine-Russia problem, and I was told I was crazy. These things are obvious to some people right away. You know what I mean? So, but I don't think we're having another pandemic. I really don't. I don't see evidence for a pandemic here again, especially with that kind of thing. I think it's about the other meanings of this. Wuhan is about the overthrow of an emperor in the history. It also means Wuhan means cold war. It means Cold War, according to the delineation in the software. And what Cold War do we have right now? We have the Russia Cold War with the United States. It's still going on. It's worse than ever. And so world Cold War energy is going to be very active, and potentially the older idea that Wuhan was a military center where there was an overthrow of an emperor and a revolution. So keep those two themes in mind, because Venus is going to get into direct contact, with Wuhan right here. And we see her bumping right into him on Wednesday, the day before she gets into the opposition. And as she's still in that difficult race between Mars and Pluto, I'm really concerned about Wednesday, December the 11th, in the world, not in your life. You guys aren't overthrowing an emperor. You're not in a Cold War, unless it's a Cold War with your marriage partner, a Cold War with your boss, a Cold War with a colleague and friend who you're in a Cold War with. It could intensify. Right? The silent treatment. It could get really intense, especially in love relationships on December the 11th. For the world, it could be more literal. Now, China is an Aquarius rising nation. Is there any possibility that there's going to be an escalation of tensions with China on December? We're in a Cold War. The United States is in a Cold War with China in the sense that it's, gnarly. And so maybe we'll see Cold War escalation in quotes between China, because it's Wuhan, right, and the United States or the world at large in the time frame of Wednesday, the 11th. This is just called mundane astrology. Let's see what happens. I'm just curious. And we can see that this energy is very particular to Wednesday. You might give it a day before and a day after. And then as we go into Thursday or December the 12th, she is in opposition to Mars. And by the end of the day, will break free of the opposition by degree. And by Friday, Saturday, Sunday, she's in clear air. The gnarly gas explosion that happened there, the gnarly flatulence air that she was breathing, gone. She's in the clean, clear air and going, that was intense. Thank God I'm on the other side of that hot mess. And the good news is as she moves on, she comes into contact with Zeus. Zeus, the king of the Olympus Mountains, on December 14th, which is Saturday, they are becoming one. Now, it could be a Venus-ruled person, a Venus-ruled nation, or some Venus-ruled people. Okay, Prime Minister of Israel, Libra sun. Kamala Harris, Libra sun. The nation of Israel, Libra rising. Other areas of a woman, somebody who's female, who's a politician in the world, coming into some extraordinary power, but in a positive way, right? So we have lots of female politicians out there right now, and we have female politicians who are in charge of the world. It's happening more and more. Even if you don't agree with their policies, they're coming into more and more power. So we could see a female in power or a female rise to more power. So I don't know. For example, Trump had put Tulsi Gabbard in charge of some agency, and the what do you call the person? Is the secretary person he has in the Oval Office. His number one right hand is Susie Wiles. Those are examples, but I don't know if he's filled all his positions. Maybe there'll be a new announcement, maybe a female, but I think there'll just be another announcement. Here comes another woman into a position of power, for example, right? So there's just something like that. Or a woman in power is notably being noticed in the world for some reason. Venus and this Zeus energy are playing out, as I said, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Finally, I want to note that Jupiter here is going to be engaged by Venus in a glorious trine. This is going to be so positive on December 19th and 20th. That is going to be next week's story. But as she breaks free of the opposition, she looks at Jupiter, he looks at her, they're coming toward each other. There's nothing bad about this. It's so positive. It builds and builds and builds as we move towards the 19th, 20th of the month. And so she's really in clear sailing, nothing like a trine from Jupiter. His rays are going back to her. Her rays are going to him. It's a love up. That's good for everybody. Now, we're going to focus on this week ahead. We're going to focus on the Venus story because that's the only story I think that's worth telling. We have Neptune direct as of the weekend. We still have Mars retrograde as of, back last week. So one of the things I hear some astrologers chatting about, and I don't agree with, is Mercury and Mars here. You see, they're not really going to form what's called a partile or exact relationship of a fire trine to each other. Mercury is retrograde, and he is not going to, let me bring us back to the week that we're in, like the beginning. Just watch what I'm saying so you understand why I'm saying it. Here we have it on Sunday. Mercury is retrograde at 10. Mars is moving away from Mercury. He's moving this way, and Mercury is moving towards this direction. So they're contrary motion for retrogradation. Now watch what happens. 9 degrees, 6 degrees, 8 degrees, 6 degrees. We're now on Tuesday. Wednesday, 7 degrees, 6 degrees. And then Thursday, Mercury at 7 degrees and 8 minutes, Mars at 5 degrees and 55 minutes. Mercury, the faster moving planet, 6 degrees and 42, 5 degrees and 50. 6 degrees and 27, 5 degrees and 44. Now I'm already on Saturday. Mercury's turned direct. Failure to launch. Refrenation. Mercury refrains from making contact. Okay. He says, I changed my mind. What does refrenation mean energetically, right? It could mean that as Mercury was trying to catch Mars's attention for action and decisions to do with information and news, he fails to do so because he turns his back on Mars and goes the other way, away from Mars. So what does that mean? I'll give you an example. In our own lives, it could be somebody was going to get in touch with you. You were going to meet, you're going to get together, you're going to have a phone call or a Zoom meeting, and something doesn't happen. Because Mercury was retrograde, it's about things that are about the past. Mercury went retrograde on Mercury was going backwards until Mercury was going forward November 2nd to November the 26th. Okay. November the 2nd to November the 26th, he was going forward. Now, on the 5th of November, he entered the shadow zone, just 5th, 6th, just around the time of the election. I think it was just shortly after, maybe the 7th of November, Mercury entered shadow. But the point is there's a sense of wanting to go back when he's retrograde over old ground that happened just around the time of the United States election, like ballot counts, like tabulators, like news stories, like information. And he is heading back to talk to Mars in the sign of kings and leaders, also the sign of Donald Trump's ascendant. And he was saying, we got to talk. We're going to check this out. We're going to do something here. We're going to have a decision, actions through news, information, tabulation, counts, investigation, understanding. But he doesn't get there. Instead, he changes his mind and turns around direct on December the 15th. And therefore, by the time we get to Sunday, it's a non-event. I do believe somewhere in the United States around the December 17th, the election results are ratified perhaps by the Electoral College. And I do know, I see so many Democratic, obvious, I'm a Democratic astrologer, trying to make a case that there will be no inauguration because there's going to be a divulgence of some shenanigans to do with hacking the election. Okay, now I'm not going to make a comment on that. I think the inauguration will take place. Pluto Sun conjunction on inauguration, plutocrat, power, king. And this is a plutocratic combination of people that Trump put with him, all billionaires. Plutocracy means ruled by the wealthy. I know it sounds gnarly, but sometimes you could think they don't need to be bought off by corporate interests. They are the corporate interests. So there's no like lobbyist that's going to get under their nose and, force their hand. Well, of course, they're not Congress people. They're the ones getting lobbyists. But look, it's like, I don't see it. I know I'm not always right. I can't find enough massive evidence for that. I can see evidence for Trump in harm's way physically yet again. Algol on his Uranus. Mars will go into his sign mid-April to mid-June. Mid-April to mid-June can be a really difficult time for Donald Trump in the Algol Uranus story that led to the first assassination attempt July 15th. That could indeed be a bit difficult for him at that time. In the meantime, this is what everybody might be wanting to have happen, who are the Democratic card readers and astrologers who keep desperately asking themselves, is it possible this could turn around? And, I am Canadian and I don't care which one is in power, honestly, although I do prefer some of the people that I'm seeing coming in, like Tulsi Gabbard. I've always really liked her. Don't troll me. I'm a Canadian. I'm just giving you my opinion of a person, all right? Not my political stance. But look, guys, nothing's going to happen. Mercury moves this way. Mars continues to go this way. Never the twain shall meet. They do not make that perfect connection. Something fails to happen to do with information. Of course, I know that Mercury also is very like tabulator and counter, and he rules ballots and ballot boxes. So yeah, but nothing seems to happen. So why? I don't know, maybe because there's nothing to happen. All right, let's get out of this hot mess. We're going to talk now about Venus, and we're going to talk about your sign. Does that sound like a good idea? And I want to show you my teaching tool before we start out. I want you to think about this as not a one-off. I think modern astrology has a tendency, or not modern, but lazy astrology. Oops, that's not what I want to show you, my Canva app. It wouldn't say that modern astrology or pop astrology has a problem other than a lack of willingness to put things into synodic cycles so that you understand why they're happening. Now, people that I love, like Adam Ellenbus, my teacher, when I studied with him in 2018, World Astrology Report, Dan Waits, S.J. Anderson, other people that I admire, of course, they're using synodic cycle awareness of what they're doing. But I mean, that's the only way one should look at astrology, not like it's Mars opposite Venus. Mars is opposite Venus. What does it mean? By the way, the Sabian symbol at 6 Aquarius, a performer of a mystery play. I love it because 6 degrees of Aquarius or 5 degrees of when she's in her perfect opposition, she'll be at 5 degrees. Mars will be 5 degrees. The Sabian symbol of Thursday, the 12th turnaround day, keywords, revelation, expression, messenger, diplomacy, secrets unveiled, and symbolism. Well, secrets unveiled, that's okay. That could happen, because when we get to on the turnaround day, when we go back to the turnaround day, and I should have got that out for you earlier. I apologize. On the 12th, she's out of her malefic problem. And we're going to go back a smidgen. It's kind of like Wednesday, the 11th, she's at 5 degrees 25, and Mars is at 6. And as we move forward, we're going to see the exact moment of the opposition. The exact moment of the opposition will be on the 12th. I checked it earlier. Well, roughly the exact moment, December 12th, around 1 a.m. Pacific time. And then she moves to 6 degrees and we are out. But because we round up the Sabian, the 6-degree mark matters. And there's something about the word revelation. And we might indeed want to go back in time to when Mercury, the one who would have a revelation to offer the world, what he was doing when he was at that same degree, okay, in history. So I'll tell you what the date is, because if there's going to be a revelation and there's something to be disclosed, that's not about the UFO stuff, then it's going to be connected to when Mercury was at that same degree. The date was November the 7th. Now, November the 6th is when Kamala Harris gave her concession speech, and November 6th was the entry point of Mercury into the shadow of the retrograde, meaning that it is going to be on December 15th when he goes direct at 6 degrees again of the sign of Sagittarius. So you can say this, on December 6th, things happened. Kamala Harris did a concession speech. On November 7th, Trump put Susie Wiles into position. But things that may have been going on around the 6th, 7th of the year 2024 November could come into disclosure mode, maybe around the time that Venus is going to clear that opposition on Thursday the 12th and then move into sunnier territory. Now, if I was a Democrat, which I'm not, and I was using this because I had a bias, my bias could go, well, I can see that Venus is going to move into Zeus and become the king. And there's going to be a disclosure around Mercury ballots connected to the pre-shadow period. And for sure, that'll lead Mars to take some action because he's in a flowing trine to Mercury, except he isn't. They are trying to hook up and they don't. And so Mars would enforce. Mars is the sheriff. Mars takes action. Mars makes the decisions. And Mercury has the information and the disclosures from the past. And yet they do not form an actual degree-based connection in a trine, fire trine. All right. So I'm saying if I was leaning into this because I had like a near religious belief that one party is better than the other, and then I could try to make that case as well. So I'll leave you with the possibility that I've got this completely wrong. And then in fact, there's a massive turnaround in the election. So what I'm going to tell you is that I don't think that's true, but I suppose you could desperately make that case. All right, let's go back to learning astrology and going for your sign. Look at this, guys. Take a peek at this. Okay. Take a peek. All right. There we go. I know I just lost a ton of subscribers, but actually I'm kind of burning out anyway. So, if you can't have any kind of civil discourse anymore, I just give up. Everyone has the right to be offended. Was it Mika and Morning Joe lost 40% of their fan base overnight because they actually went to see Trump in Mar-a-Lago and they can't figure out why. What political climate have they not been a part of? All right. I know a lot of people have taken comments off now because of what happened in terms of blowback after the election. Venus Mars Synodic cycle. This is important. Why is this important? Because this is telling us what the story is really about. It's like a new moon and it's got to go through the full cycle to the next new moon. Mars and Venus are like a new moon when they come together, a new beginning. A seed is planted on 6 degrees of Aquarius on February 22nd. Like there was also a seed at 0 degrees of Aquarius in March of 2022. We don't get those seeds again till 54 and 56, 2054, 56. I don't think I'll be here for that. So it means that in your life, the Aquarius part of your sky is trying to come into balance between actions and decisions and what you need to separate from your life, Mars, and what you want to have and desire, and what your values are, and what you wish to possess and unite and bring together. Venus. The two are yin and yang. They're opposite tail and head of a coin, but they do have a lot of sexual chemistry together because opposites do attract. Now, when the Mars-Venus cycle began and the synodic cycle started off, we saw that you wanted to plant a seed in the sign of Aquarius, like you did in March of 2022 through to February of 2024. You went through this cycle one whole time already. This is rinse, repeat, round 2. If I use me as an example, I am an Aquarius rising. The seed that was planted for me February at 0 Aquarius in 2022 till now was a new love relationship. And for you Aquarians listening, you don't have one yet, here comes round 2. You may indeed be uniting as a cosmic lover within yourself by having a cosmic lover partner come into your life. After 7 celibate years, Lori met somebody between February of 2022, okay, and the cycle that ended here, February 2024, or March of 2022 and February 24, the 2 years in between. I'm still in that relationship. Now, Venus conjunct Mars moves into the first testing phase. This is like the shoot that wants to come up from beneath the ground. It's a proof of concept. It's a testing 101 in her book. And this happens to already have occurred as Venus in the sign of Virgo in her fall squared Mars and Gemini on August the 23rd. That was a gnarly sky. We had a lot going on. We had Venus in her fall. We had an opposition between Saturn and Jupiter. It was a tough time. But you can see here that Venus in Virgo in her fall squaring Mars and Gemini happened to occur in the 3rd week of August. And you can go back to your stories of love and romance and kindness and friendship and peace and harmony and sometimes money, but usually Mars-Venus is very romantic. And you will get asked yourself what your challenging images may have been that you were trying to eliminate to allow the seed to sprout. Did the ground need more water? I'm using a lovely little book called Pushing Through Time by Georgia Anna Strathis. I believe it's in my recommendations because she does a nice synodic cycle breakdown of the phases, like the moon phases, when the planets engage with each other. And this is the quarterly first quarter opening square or waxing square phase. Now, I think that was when my partner and I went on a romantic getaway to a little place with a hammock on an island. Yes, we did do that to proof of concept and to water the relationship, to give it the sunlight it needed to grow. So you did that, or you tried to do that in some area of your life connected to the seed from Aquarius, like that, whatever that house is for you. But in August of 24, you were also working with your Virgo part of your chart and your Gemini part of your chart. I can't tell you everything about that. This is for the astrologers out there. Go look at that testing 1-2 between the Virgo house, whole sign house, and the Gemini whole sign house. Gemini whole sign house for me is romantic and sexual love. And I went on a romantic getaway weekend. You can't make this stuff up. Venus in Aquarius will oppose Mars, who is retrograde, in Leo on December the 12th. This is around 5 degrees of Leo and Aquarius. Then that is the real pressure point. That's like having an oppositional energy that we call a full moon. And that's where things got really tense. It's like a rubber band that's been stretched to the maximum. Will it break or not? So one other way of thinking of it is a tug of war. Sometimes there's a way that things push and pull back and forth, and usually oppositional energy puts you into an opposition to a force beside yourself. It could be an opposition with a structure, a bureaucratic thing, a parking meter maid, your partner, your friend. You have to oppose a force in love and passion and actions and decisions and the desire to unite or the desire to separate. Obviously, it's not easy because it can create a vortex of indecision. Should I go left? Should I go right? Which is the way? It's very much like a precipice of an energy for you. And so what I would say in a love relationship, if some kind of rubber band is going to snap, all right, or friendship band is going to snap, it's going to snap most likely closer to December 12th. Tread carefully. Then Venus and Gemini squaring Mars in Virgo, July the 13th, 2023. This is the last square, the closing square, or the waning square, like the waning half moon energy. And this is going to be Venus in the sign of Gemini, yes, where Mars was back in August of 24, and Mars in Virgo, where Venus was in August of 23. That means the axis is the same. The planetary alignments have changed. But when we look at this in July of 25, Mars, of course, is in direct motion as well as Venus. So this is a very powerful time of the culminating of something that you have going on in like love, peace, relationship. It could be money. You might want to think about it as a time of maybe a bit of turmoil, but you are also going to find things that are breaking down or breaking up in the relationship sphere of your life. And I kind of think that you might even wonder if this is a time in which you could find something hidden from your view being available to see, because we're going into the darker moon, right? So things, what's in the dark can be seen under the flashlight of the half moon. So maybe insights into things in the relationship to you and a friend, you and a lover, you and a husband, wife, you and maybe a situation revolving around money, because Venus does rule prosperity. And then finally, at the end of the cycle, Venus will conjunct Mars on January the 8th, 2026. And that is the end of the story. And you won't get this Aquarian cycle again. We've had it for 4 years, starting, as I said, in 2022, in the month of March. Then it rebooted itself in February of 2024. And it's never back until 2054, trying to tie together the themes, in this case, of love and uniting and separating and wanting and a getting. And driving with decisions and actions to get what you want. Venus Mars stories. You don't get this again until 2054 and 56 cycle. So there is an important emphasis on this in that regard. And of course, we know that Pluto in Aquarius has changed the tonal quality of this. And we didn't have Pluto in Aquarius when we were in 2022. That's why this is a particularly important variation. Maybe my title will call it, this is not any Pluto, not any Mars opposition to Venus. And then the Capricorn story goes on for 4 years. And we're rebooting things in the Capricorn part of our chart to do with Venus and Mars storylines. I hope that lesson was helpful. I didn't bore you to death. We're going to go ahead and do your sign. We're going to get this video done, I'm hoping, in the next 40 minutes. And let's get started with Aries. Oh, oh, I can't stop sharing the same thing. It's like, what the hell? All right, let's go quickly through this. I wanted to really give you a lesson, but we're going to talk. I'm not going to go back through the whole synodic cycle. That was an intro. Go back and watch it. Aries, sun, moon, and rising. You're at the elastic band, ready to tension, snap phase of a larger synodic cycle in the theme of love and the theme of harmony and the theme of getting what you want, Mars and Venus, that really began to activate with some support from Pluto in the sign of Aquarius back in February of 2024. And so you're trying to seed something as an Aries here in your sky. Oh, I'm back in the November timeframe. Sorry, guys. That's just because, I was busy looking for data when I went back to find when Mercury was doing what Mercury was doing. Sounds like somebody out there is dragging something on the ground. Okay, so here we have, you planted a seed here. You planted a seed in your 11th house. And this is a seed for prosperity for most of you people listening, because this is the house of great gains, pennies from heaven, allies and benefactors, great gains from one's career. And also it's the house of the fulfillment of one's wishes and dreams in life. And in that regard, why you are doing this is because it is your time to use Venus for wish fulfillment like a fairy godmother. And you tried to do this already January, right, of 2020. March of 2022 to 24. And then here we go again. February 24 to February 26. It's over in 2026. Now, to me, Venus is saying, where am I? How did I get to 2025? I'm not even kidding you guys. Like, sorry about that, but I'm still saying the right thing. It's just everybody's in the wrong place. There we go. So by the time we get to here, I'm going to make us go by days. Here we go. Kind of there's the opposition, right? She clears the opposition on the 12th and she's on smooth sailing. So I already said at the beginning of the video, please be careful. You know, Monday through to Thursday, you're in hot water, foul air. Good things cannot happen if you're not careful. You don't want to break up with your best friend. You don't want to break up with the one you're with if it's not the right thing at this time. And flashpoints are high. But Venus is in the house of friendship. And the indication, therefore, is that indeed you may have a flashpoint with a friend, ally, benefactor, or a sibling, one older than you. So be very careful around the first part of the week, all the way through until Thursday. By the time you go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you're out of the difficult tension. That aside, you may have some goals and dreams that you wish to realize, but they're just not feeling like you can get them off the ground through till Thursday. Wait till after Thursday for any kind of definitive dream launch action or dream making action. Finally, career gains may feel slow. Maybe you're not getting the money, your sales are down, your paycheck looks terrible, there's no Christmas bonus. I mean, just the idea of the gains in the work feel less than fascinatingly good. Now, I can tell you, I'm an Aries sun and moon. Having YouTube completely tank my subs every third month feels really disheartening because I know I'm putting content out there, and even though you guys might be subscribing or not, I'm losing other subscribers just because they're deleting them. So it just is always disheartening. So I was probably be feeling that way this week. For an example, and you could have a blowout with a sibling, one older if you have one. So be careful for that as well, especially with the amicus there and the weapon of the candlestick. Don't go to blunt force trauma with a friend or an elder sibling in an argument, disagreement, or blow up. Well, what about when we move forward, right? Then things are smoother. But again, this is a synodic cycle that I just showed you that does not end until 2026. And this is the elastic band that can snap. I mean, you're planting seeds in Aquarius for love. And you're continually asking yourself, what kind of love do I want? Well, this is a friendly love. You want a companionable love. You want a best friend love. You want a love who treats you like an ally or a benefactor or a helper or a cheerleader. And that's the kind of love you want now, because Venus gets what do I desire? What do I want? What do I want to have? And that's what you want to have. And you want to have successful, productive riches in your career. And this cycle is important because when those two planets came together, Mars and Venus in February of 24, Pluto was sitting right here too, still there in 0 Aquarius. So this is a 2-year cycle for every single Aries listening where you can get wealth and riches and power in your career gains, as well as influence over larger groups of people because you desire that and want that. And Fairy Godmother Venus wants to help. And you might just find that you're now going to circulate amongst more powerful and wealthy and influential and rich people in the next 2 years as well. But this is a testing point, and you don't know the final answer of how you're making it through this journey until 2026, right? Beginning of 2026. Anything else I have to say for you? When Venus is up here, she is trying her damnedest to give you good things, right? All good things must happen here. But just be cautious because she will definitely want to maybe have a blowout in a romantic love story as well. Watch for romantic partners from the past, former lovers, former romantic partners coming back from the past. And you could have a very intense and very difficult challenge with that kind of past relationship person in this week ahead, especially before we move to Friday when she clears the foul air. So watch for blowouts with former lovers, watch for stalkers, Watch for stalker X's under this as well, showing up out of the blue in the first part of this week through till Friday, and then you're in the clear. Remember that Mercury thing that doesn't happen, right? You might think you're going to get something going to happen this week, but it fails to materialize because these two never really meet. But you might keep thinking to yourself, I think I'm going to get some kind of good information or news from the past about ninth house things, visas, passports, travel plans, Mars, leisure travel, fun travel, pleasure travel, and a failure to materialize properly. Even travel for romance and a failure to materialize properly in this week ahead. Indeed, even over the weeks after. All righty, we're moving on to the next sign. And the next sign, of course, is always Taurus after Aries. Guys, oh my God. Please like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Help this girl feel like there's hope in the universe. I might start a new channel. I might just try something new just for fun. I won't abandon this one. I just kind of like, I'm a whale. I'm almost at 100,000, but not quite. And the closer I get to $100,000, the slower the channel is growing in terms of subs. So what can you do? We're not moving to Leo. Sorry about that. We're moving to Taurus. You're probably wondering why that happened, but I had to get myself off of pinned Aries where I had us for a little bit of time. All right. So, Taurus, your Venus ruled just like the Libra. So of course you got to pay attention here. And clearly Venus is at the top of the sky. This is where the conjunction happened between Venus and Mars back in February 2024. And by this, January of 2026, this cycle ends, but you're trying to seed a new beginning, a new seed of something important to you in the career and reputation space. You did the same seed planting back in March of 2022. And then you planted another seed again here, and that cycle finished. And so you keep trying to plant a seed that's action, power, drive, decisions, will. I'm looking at the beautiful lunation out there. It's the waxing crescent moon outside my window, Vancouver, Canada, the extremist moon. How beautiful is that? You're going to keep thinking to yourself, this cycle, right? It ends in January of 2025. I've got to get this thing off the ground because I work hard. I'm driven. I'm passionate. I'm focused. I'm decisive. And I'm an action taker when it comes to my career and getting the money, recognition, and deservingness of success. But you're being tested this week. You're being tested by the opposition of Venus and Mars, like the teeter-totter tug-of-war elastic band. Maybe matters in your home life between Monday and Thursday are excruciatingly difficult. Maybe there's someone you're arguing with. Maybe there's construction in your home. Maybe there's issues in the home. My daughter's a Taurus. She just moved. She got boxes to unpack. It's chaotic. They have no table to sit on for dinner yet. They have to order. They've ordered something. And therefore, I can say she's struggling between the home life, Mars, and the work life. And so how are you going to be in this push and pull? And of course, you're in this kind of malefic enclosure as well. It's very intense. You just might feel, oh, this is so hard right now. My work is hard. The boss is hard. The situation's hard. The home life is hard. But I want to plant a seed of really good stuff because I'm going to be what? Listen closely, Taurus. If you play this right, you will be rich 2 years from now because you have a wealth yoga seeded into this new cycle. When Mars and Venus co-joined in 2024 at 6 degrees of Aquarius, Pluto was at 0. And that is like a wealth yoga energy, Venus, Pluto. So you are trying to make it rich in your work and career space and reputation space. You're trying to pull off a caper of financial success through your public reputation, social standing, social status, actions in the world. Now, look, you could meet somebody in a work story and get married, and they could be wealthy, or together you're wealthy. You could marry the boss, or you could fall in love with the CEO, or vice versa, they with you. Surely Venus seeding stuff up here is work stories for love work stories. Now, I know a Taurus who got into a hot mess under this energy, but Pluto wasn't there. In the 2022 to 24 cycle, got entangled in a stalker relationship in the workspace where a colleague was stalking them. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to happen to you. Mars is stalker, right? Like, especially with Pluto this time, but it's like, look for intensity of romantic love in a collegiate work environment. It's a story for single Tauruses. Okay. And this tug of war with the home, Mars is somebody. Are you arguing with the building manager? Are you having a fight with your spouse or your kids in the home? So, I mean, it's so blowout. You need to take a chill pill, really take a deep breath, take some therapeutic downtime to get out of this stinky foul air of the 10th house workspace versus the hot and bothered career space, home space. And some of the bothers in the 4th house are coming from the past. Mars is retrograde. You were in this bothered, hot and bothered state with someone you were domestically involved with, probably already felt this way in the month of October, right? And now Mars is like reheating. Oh, no, he's not. No, he's not. Forget that. No. No, forget that. No, since November 4th. So if there's been tension in the relationship or someone you live with or a child since November the 4th, Mars is backtracking over some of that old territory. So you're having to readdress domestic strife that you were feeling since November 4th, and you're going back into a heated oppositional moment. And be careful. Because this is like, I want to run away from home. I want to quit my home. I want to quit my job because I'm stressed at home, stuff like that. And that, again, you're going to really feel that until Thursday. And then as Thursday gets on in the day and we move into the weekend, Venus is now liberated and things begin to look a lot better. In fact, you might get a clear glow up coming through the last part of the week, a Thursday through to Sunday, as Zeus, the boss, meets with Venus and everyone cheers you on, and you do get a Christmas bonus, or life does look good for you, or you look super swell in the eye of the public. So give yourself time to get through the difficulty. The crucible ends, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, everything is wonderfully shifted. Really feels a lot better for you. All righty. Also, office parties that get you too drunk. Be careful Monday, Taurus, because that's that hedonistic Dionysian Bacchus in the house, in the office space with Venus, Pluto up there with Mars opposing. That's like you come home drunk as a skunk from your office party and your partner tells you to move out. I mean, I don't know, but be careful about hedonistic events in the public eye, especially in the work situations on Monday, Tuesday. All right, December the 10th. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. We see this energy of a seed you planted here in your 9th house back in 2024 at 6 degrees of Aquarius. This was in February. What you're trying to do is plant a seed for purpose. Yeah, it's a seed purpose. What's my purpose? Are you my purpose? It matters because you started to think about this question when Mars, what you want to take action on and decide, and Venus, what you desire and what you want to have, came together and seed planted here in 2022. And they seed planted here in 2022 at 0 Aquarius. And then that was in February of 22. And so this story, March of 22. And then it rebooted itself again. It came back alive again, this time with Pluto power. Pluto power. I'm going to call this video Pluto powered success. Yes, because also Venus always wants success and love or money. Pluto powered success in love and money. I'm going to call it something simple. I'm just running it down. I always think of the titles when I'm chatting with you guys. And don't forget, the Sabian symbol on the opposition does talk about communication, expression, diplomacy, secrets revealed as well. So that's going to be an interesting one on Thursday. But here, back to basics. Your 9th house is the house of third marriages. Are you in your third long-term committed love story? It's a house of foreign lands and travel. It's a house of higher education. visas and passports. It's a house of courts and legal matters and judges ruling. And it's a house of one's deepest purpose, spiritual philosophy, and mystical religious idealism. And this is a reset button. It's also the house of book publishing. Now, in 2022 to 2024, March to February, there was a seed planted. It's different this time. We have Pluto, and you may have seen some major successes and changes of positive momentum here. For example, I got an agent ask me to write a book proposal. Yay, me in that cycle. What did you guys get? Well, she was in the new cycle, actually. But you had some booms there. Okay, third, long-term love relationships. I'm trying to use me example because I'm a progressed Gemini sun. Yes, that's when my man came in, the guy I'm with now, and he's a foreigner from a foreign country. Another thing I'd say, if you're single and you're a Gemini, love from a foreign place, love it when you're traveling to a foreign place, love from a foreign language, religion, body color, skin color type person, the foreigner, love from a foreigner, love starting to seed in the next 2 years from a person of a foreign culture. That's a possibility here as well. That's the big picture story. Now we're backdropping the tug of war is here. You're in the elastic that's going to snap. You're in the opposition and you're feeling really heavy and challenged, most likely between like Sunday, Monday through to Thursday, as Venus ends up wedged between Pluto and the hurling rays of Mars. And you could possibly find yourself feeling like you're on a rock and a hard place when it comes to things to do with the themes I've just outlined. Now, one of those themes is travel off to foreign shores and our book publishing deals or educational opportunities and just having a sense of challenge. And the challenge from the third house is from another travel house and another learning house. So there's a push and pull. Indecision is here. Should you take the trip? Should you travel or not? I can relate trying to plan a trip with a girlfriend to Mexico, and I'm not sure yet to book it, but I only have a couple of days to say yes or no. And then I can't cancel it anymore with the Airbnb guy. So, I already feel this tension now. And I may reboot it. I may reach out to my girlfriend and say, let's do this in February or something, or after this time. Maybe I've got the wrong timetable for the trip. So, pay attention to your insights and intuition around this as well. Don't let the sky push you around. Let yourself go in your inner knowing and decide what is true and right at the time for you. Mars rules to decide and to act and to have the willpower to do so. You could also look at this time as Venus will come into power when her conjunction happens with Zeus on Friday and Saturday into Sunday, that you could really light up here into some new level of authentic power and empowerment when it comes to matters to do with your purpose, your authority, in your alignment with true north. But on a practical note, you could hear from the university that you're going to be accepted. The chancellor loves you. The book publishing company wants you, and they're like king of the publishing industry. Or a very powerful female who's at the top of her game in education, publishing, or podcasting is favoring you in some way at the end of this week, Thursday through to Saturday. Writing, you want to write. Mars is passionate. Mars is driven. Mars is taking action right now. Right away, I'm writing my Substack. I'm loving writing again. And this is a gnarly energy about writing projects in this regard through till Thursday. And then your writing projects break free and you can publish them and all goes well. Third marriages are in a gnarly space. The house of the third marriage is the ninth house. First marriage is the second. First marriage is the seventh. A second house is the second marriage, and the tool and technique I use, derived houses. So your third marriage environment just feels strained with the one you're with, maybe because of travel, maybe because of separation geographically, who knows, because Mars is traveling down here. But let the light shine on the relationship later. Don't blow out on a third marriage here between now and Friday. I'm telling myself that with my progressed Gemini sun. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. You planted a seed when? Back in 2024. When? We're still there in the month of February. And that's when we saw a seed planting between Venus and Mars in your eighth house of chunky money, finances, taxes, money with your spouse, residual income, stock investments, inheritance money, money from sale of a property, South Node transit through your a fourth house, some of you are trying to or have sold property and taken money off the table in the last couple of 2 years, right? Year and a half, 2 years. And this story continues on with Venus saying, wealth, wealth, wealth. We like money. Venus is a money goddess in a money house. Mars is like, take action, make decisions about that money. However, also secret love affairs. Mars, Venus, the cosmic lovers in the 8th house are hidden affairs. And every time they come together, they're just reciting the story of hidden affairs. And you've been doing this one now since 2022. You or your partner, who's cheating on who? What blowouts are going to happen or have happened here? Now, you won't get this again until 2054, but go back to 1997 and go back to 1992. Those are 2 years. Go 1992 to 94, go 1997 to 1999. You felt this energy before, and you can make notes by comparing. I should have said that, but I introduced that at the beginning of the video, because if you want to go back and see how infidelity, secrets, and betrayals may have played out, then you'll find a common ground, but also financial increase of some sort. So I have a Cancer rising sister, 97 to 99 was money from the inheritance from the death of my dad. So inheritance money happened for my sister in her 8th house. You could have a blowout conversation about money with somebody this week. It's difficult energy. Be careful. Mars also rules the house of children and lovers. Blowout conversations around money with children or lovers between Monday and Thursday. Speak softly and carry a big stick, okay? Do not cause this to happen. Let it ride, because then things look good for you coming out the other end. By 2026, there's no more seed plantings in this inheritance and infidelity storylines or secret love affairs, and you're done with the story until 2054. You might want to radically cut away or sever something from your possessions. And that's maybe also very intense energy of indecision. Sunday, Monday through to Thursday. Is it time to sell the house? Is it time to sell the car? Is it time to dispossess yourself, Mars, of something, so that you can liberate some chunky money? That could all be what that is. And so watch for that tension as well in the beginning of this week. It kind of gets Thursday through Sunday, Venus is with Zeus, and now you're the king of your money stories, the king of your chunky money. Things are looking much more swell, much more swell. Leo, sun, moon, and rising. It is a story that puts you in a cycle that began in 22, ends in 2026. In that cycle, we have 2 seed plantings, new seeds with the synodic conjunction of Venus and Mars in the 7th house of marriage. This is your marriage house. Yes, I know it's your business partners, your audience, your public, your clients, your marketplace. I know it's those as well, legal contracts, negotiations, and deals. We'll cover it all, but this is often just what it seems like. It is the relationship house. And so it is a time for you that you're redefining this relationship zone of your life. If you're single, you're redefining what you want. If you're with someone, you're redefining how that relationship should look in your life, what you want to see happen. Mars likes to cut. And when he goes through your relationship house, he's prone to wanting to snip. When he's in your house, you are the snipper. You're the one with scissors in your hand. You are going to cut that client out. My sister's a Leo rising. She has a client that's really bothering someone. She said, I think I'm just going to cut the client out, Mom, Lori. And I agree with her. Like, maybe it's not worth the grief for this kind of, some clients can get very needy. You know what I mean? And so, or, strangely attached. And so energy wise, you have scissors in your hand this week. You might want to cut somebody out of your life. And you're going to be very under the collar hot because of that. And be careful, therefore, Monday all the way through to Thursday, that you do not accidentally take out the meat cleaver and chop someone out of your life, because you're going to feel like you want to do that. And it's based on things that you've been feeling since November 4th that have been building up, because that's where the territory Mars is going back over. So look to this energy as cautionary until you get to Thursday through to Sunday, when Venus gets out of this kind of malefic enclosure, hurling rays problem I introduced in the beginning. Now, you could bring wealthy and powerful clients, allies, and people into your life. Pluto, Venus are here. And they seeded that for you with Mars's help back in January. So I kind of would say also look at the types of people you're drawing to you in your audience marketplace, clients or whatever, fans, because now you're getting a whole new cadre of people, if this makes any sense to the life you lead. Now, your partner may be going through a hard time. This might be their story. They're feeling really intense about stuff. They're going through like hungover hedonism on Monday, and then they're hitting Amycus and they got a candlestick to clobber someone, and then they're hitting Wuhan and they want to overthrow an empire, and then they hit Zeus finally. So look to your partner in love or marriage and look at them and go, or business partner, holy man, they're having a rough week. That is Monday through Thursday. But then, Venus is going to hit Zeus, and your partner is going to go into kingship or queenship. So something good wants to happen for some significant love and business partners, or there's a contract or legal agreement that's king of the mountain coming your way Thursday through to Sunday. Is it martini hour, anyone? All right, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. I'm going to hire a personal trainer, and instead, at the end of every video, I'm just going to go work out. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. You've got a story going on here. It looks like you have a seed planting in the sixth house. The sixth house is a place of karmic debts and real life debts, your credit card debt, money you owe. But it's also pets. It's also matters to do with your home and domestic life as it applies to rental properties and agreements. If you're the landlord or the leasee, doesn't matter. And colleagues, coworkers, and health matters. A lot of stuff goes on in this sixth house, a house of bad fortune. Now, look. Don't think of it that way, Virgo. When I see this conjunction of Mars, cut ends and sever Venus, what you love, that happened in 2022, I do know quite a few Virgos who lost a pet between January of 2022 and January 2000. Well, winter, New Year. Oh, guys, not January, but does it really matter which month it is? Seriously. March of 2022 and February 2024, a lot of Virgos had a pet pass away. That cycle reset itself for the next 2 years. I just have to say, it's a very clear story to me. But you love the pet, and it's time for the pet to leave. Okay. However, Pluto in this part of the story, this time, not here last time, brings riches and wealth through rental properties, through being able to pay off debts or debts owed to you, paid to you, or things to do with your work powering up to a new level of success. The axis of Mars, though, this week in an opposition tug of war energy is really intense confrontation with your shadow, with your addictions, with your substance misuse disorders, with your self-undoing and sabotaging ways. And you're having to face your own self in the mirror, like really look at yourself for a lot of you. There's something going on for Virgos here. Now, you could also have a very powerful source of financial assistance from this storyline coming off of the family of origin. I'm not going to explain all the reasons why. It doesn't come to you now. It won't. If it comes to you, it will happen in April, May, or June. But you'll know that this money is coming to you, like an inheritance, for example. So that's another way this looked. And you can pay down debts or have no debts or be debt-free or something like that. If there is money coming from any of those sources to do with the family of origin, it will be from likely father figures. Venus will move into, this is a work house, and she's going to move, and she's good for your health. She's trying to get you healthier right now, but she's going to move into contact with Zeus Thursday through to Sunday, up-leveling your responsibility with at work, giving you a better glow up with the boss, allowing for work colleagues and coworkers to like make you feel like Queen of Mount Olympus. And it's just something good going on at the end of the week in terms of the work story. And with Jupiter up here, she's going to come into contact with him on the 19th, a super work and career glow up. You might get a promotion. You might get a raise. You might get a dreamy Christmas bonus. Okay. Look for those stories coming later next week. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. This conjunction is occurring in your story. This conjunction occurred, March of 2022, and then again, February 2024, and never to come back again after 2026. Is this keep Mars and Venus keep seeding your romantic house, seeding your fertility and procreation and children house, seeding your fun, joy, and entrepreneurial house. Now, if you're in Libra and you are entrepreneurial, or you haven't been and want to be, this is your call of the sky. There was a call, yes, in 2022 to 24, but it's not the same. Pluto wasn't supporting it. Now, Pluto, wealth and power, entrepreneurship, creativity, arts, go for it. It's your time. Now, new romance that's powerful, transformative, and deep, and the power of love can come your way in the next 2 years for single Libras. And if you're with someone, it can rejuvenate the romantic relationship to a whole new level in the next 2 years. Now, that's the seed that was planted. The test in 2024 March, the oppositional test is here. It's a tense, indecisive, elastic band opposition. It's a tug of war between your creative projects, your enthusiasm and inspiration for your entrepreneurial stuff, your romantic life, your attachment to fertility, pregnancy, and children, and the demands of the seventh house, friends, benefactors, allies, colleagues, or work gains. And you've got a tug of war going on, and you should just lay low because you're very vulnerable to flying off the handle until, or your partner in love is, or your children are, until you move beyond this on Thursday to Sunday, and Venus comes into contact with Zeus, and now the asteroid Zeus, and now there's some sense of being crowned in your part of your chart that's creative, entrepreneurial, romantic, procreative, fancy terms for sex. Have fun Thursday through Sunday in your sex life. And I think that's all I've got for you here. It looks just like, oh my God, Venus is in her joy. Yay. Almost for a Hellenistic term, but she's in a very strong position by house. It's her favorite house to live in. And so having her transit here is always good every year around this time. But now you've got this power, wealth, yoga, excitement. And of course, Monday, watch for a hangover because of the, her attachment to a Pluto-laden version of Dionysian debauchery. So whatever you're doing Sunday night, Monday night, be careful for hangover land, okay? Otherwise, or whatever problem comes after overdoing something. But otherwise, yay, a lot of fun over here. And you could seed something new under the opposition after, like a new creative project, new entrepreneurial thing after Thursday. Wait till then, because right now you're in this in between, all right, this intensity. Hey, Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. So a reset button happened twice. In this, and not again till 2054. I hope you listen to the introduction where you're going to get why this is true and the screenshots, yada, yada. Because Venus is co-joined with Mars here in your fourth house of homeland, property, real estate, legacy, wealth, domestic, private life, midnight hour, back in 2022 in the month of March, and again in February 24, add 2 more years, it's a done deal. Yes, you had it in 1992 to 94, 1997 to 1999. Those are times those seeds were planted before in the same part of your chart. But it is about your property. It is about your home. It is about your real estate. It is about something to do with where you live. A lot of Scorpios are looking for a beginning of a new home. That's exactly what this means. My son's a Scorpio rising. He and his wife would like to sell the property they have or rent it and find a new home that suits their growing needs because they want to have children. So there's a sense of, there's a replant, a new beginning of what you desire and what you want to have and what you can take decisions and actions to get, Venus and Mars. However, with Pluto here, money may be coming to you, okay, whether you plan for it or not, through a family member, through the word trust funds, inheritances, bequeathments, or just favors. Sometimes a parent will say, oh my God, here's some money, or a grandparent. So there's Pluto, Venus is a wealth yoga in the house of legacy wealth. And while that story happens for 20 years more, I'm talking about Mars, cuts, ends, and severs. Well, that's, so some of you Scorpios could either get money from the sale of a property or money from legacy wealth, from a family member and an inheritance with Jupiter, the inheritance transit in your 8th house through till next June. There's a strong possibility that could happen here. The opposition, though, this week, which is a shorter story. It's testing the seed you planted. Now, you could be being creative and artistic and enjoying your pleasures at home, but the demands of the work office stuff is really extreme. Or there's tension with a father figure, a blowout. Now, Pluto, Mars, Venus opposition to Mars in the house of the sun. Yes, that's not an easy story. And it could indeed be a blowout with a boss, a father figure, an authority figure in the workspace. Be careful for quitting your job. You're like, oh my God, I got to get out of here. But by Thursday, the dust will settle or the foul air will be gone. And Venus will have a much stronger position as she joins with Zeus, the king of Mount Olympus. And she can make a decision from the bird's eye view of a top of a mountain, how to balance that home and work axis right now. And the sun is in a money house, looking at Jupiter. So again, money from a male or a patriarchal or father figure could be showing up some way this week under the light of the sky. And more likely, obviously clear to you Thursday through to Sunday. If you want to sell a property under this, maybe not. Mercury's retrograde till December 15th, fails to really actualize connection to Mars in the career house as well. I give you another little tip. You think there's a job you're going to get, but you're probably not going to, because Mercury can't really make contact with Mars. So you might be chasing a chimera or a mirage of an opening or a possibility. Just a heads up. Okay. Otherwise, all looks well here in the land of the Scorpios. Sagittarius. Sun, moon, and rising sign. You can see here that you have been planting seeds, as I said in my intro, for 4 years. That started in 2022 in March, now February 24 to 26. 2 seeds are planted to give you what you want in your third house. What do you want when it comes to book publishing and writing? What do you want when it comes to traveling? What do you want when it comes to teaching and learning? What do you want when it comes to seminars and workshops? Are you the teacher? Are you the student? I don't know. What do you want when it comes to dealings with aunts, uncles, cousins, and a sibling one younger? What do you want when it comes to neighbors and neighborhood stories? That's the seeds of third house matters. And what do you want in your daily life and routines? And you keep trying to figure it out. Now, you can definitely look at this as a travel story as well. There is this indeterminacy of decision-making when the decision-making qualm is here kind of Monday through to Thursday. And you're a bit of a rock and a hard place about a journey that may involve friendship, a travel opportunity abroad or locally, or teaching and learning opportunities, and in a quandary of conflict of interest or indeterminacy or indecision. But then on Thursday onward, as she clears the opposition, Thursday to the Sunday, then clarity emerges and the light opens up and you know exactly what to do and you know exactly what you want. Okay. It's all going to like, and then I see the light. Okay. Because you also come into contact with a Venus on King Zeus. If you're in the writing publishing industry, there's some good things that want to happen Thursday through Sunday, but things that look difficult before that. A lot of seeds planted in a writing house become books. And so maybe some of you have been thinking about writing a book, or you've already begun a book. One of my girlfriends got a book published in the Sag Girlfriends in that seed planting era. So there's that too. From 22 to 24, she published a book. So planting seeds for writing projects that can become books is a story that you might be already going into right now. You're in the middle of it, but it's also like, do you want to go on a pilgrimage and you can't? Do you want to travel abroad, but domestic local responsibilities are holding you back? Do you have family members that you have to honor and spend time with, like siblings and cousins and uncles, but you want to go, visit some foreign shore for a getaway? Now, it sounds all very trivial, but don't forget, the longer story is you're planting seeds of some very important shifts. And because, you keep getting activations of the Gemini and Virgo axis in the storylines, it really hits you on the angles. Long story short, this is a very important energy where you feel like you kind of might want to make a very important decision. That's what Mars does this week before you get to Thursday. And that decision is probably best waiting. You wait for it. The mind, the ideas in the mind of the third house, and your decision-making power is in a bit of a wait and see mode. Wait and see. Wait till Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but making major decisions around travel, far offshore and shores, legal matters, courts and judges, visas and passports, things like that. See, Mercury, news and information, Mars, traveling to far off distant lands and shores, and they try to perfect and they don't. Some trip you might plan to get off the ground this week isn't going to fly like you thought it would. Failure to perfect, reformation. All right. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. So honestly, it's really a money story. Like I can tell you it's a dietary story or facial rejuvenation or plastic surgery. All of those are true. And if you go back to January of 2000 and if you go back to March of 2022 through to 2024 February, and then you reboot February of 2024 to January 26 kind of vibe, you're back in this like, what do I want my face to look like, my lips, my throat? How do I want to speak in the world? How do I want to ingest foods? But also, I want my money, honey. What do I want for my financial resources? Food, shelter, water be good, right? Survival. But how about thrival? So you've been trying to figure that out since 2022, Capricorn. There's something you got to figure out here. And yet, this time you have Pluto's help, because Pluto in January of 24 sat with this conjunction of Mars and Venus, and it's a wealth yoga energetically with Pluto Venus. So there's something that wants to really germinate some wealth here in the next 20 years. And this is where Mars is important. He's like, you need to take the decisions and you need to take the action in order to make it happen. And yet at this time, in this week ahead, Mars is in opposition from the house of shared resources. Investments. Are you a shareholder? Bank loans, mortgages, inheritances, spousal support money, big blowout here. Money problems with the significant other, something to do with resources and conflict, tension, and difficulty. And Venus is feeling besieged. Pluto on one side, Mars on the other. What am I going to do with this money conundrum? When is the conundrum? Well, the uncertain conundrum with the elastic band that can snap is here now till Thursday, Monday to Thursday. Wait it out. Secret love affairs, anyone? Love affairs from the past coming up. Mars is retrograde in the 8th house. Look for some maybe toxic love and abandonment and betrayal and infidelity emerging as a revelation this week. That could definitely have a blow up effect on your love life. So it's more like if it's a hidden love story. Otherwise, it's not about your love life. Because by 2026, you're trying to figure out the actions and decisions you need to take in order to become wealthy. That's it. It's very, very well resourced. And Mars is supporting that in this synodic reboot cycle. You'll notice you're trying to get something going, but it's not going to happen. It looks like chunky money and far off shores. And that yet nothing really gets off the ground. So that's I think that's a false promise. I could be wrong. All right. I am one of you, Aquarius. I am Aquarius rising. Let's think about this. Well, go back to 1992, go back to 1997. Why? Because in 1992, January, February, add 2 years to 94. And then again, odd cycle that time, 1997 to 1999, we saw Venus co-join with Mars in Aquarius. And therefore, what you saw happening in that cycle was a 2-part reboot of you from 92 to 94. And that's when I changed my career. I was temporarily a real estate agent in Washington, D.C., coming off of my journalism career. I quit the magazine I worked for. That's when I quit the newspaper, Washington Post run newspaper chain. I quit my job then. So you can see cycles repeat. You are the one trying to take actions and decisions to be what you love, not to have. Venus is, I am in touch with, and I am what I love. I am what I desire. I am my values. I am Venus. And Mars is like, and you say, I am deciding, I am taking action. I have got this. So it's the ability to take action and decisions to become the thing you wish to be. and be and have and become, and what are your Venusian goals. And if you're an Aquarius rising, and I can't do this if it's a private reading for you, I talk about this with you, but Venus is the ruler of your ninth house, book publishing, foreign lands, and Venus is the ruler of your fourth house. And so a lot of this energy will take you back to stories of, I want this property, I want this home, I want this book publishing deal, I want this spiritual path, whatever you think, but she can influence those houses. But the reason I'm bringing this up in the 97 to 98, right? It's the last time, the 1997 to 1999, that also was a seed planting that happened just like we had now, right? In February of 2024 to now, and closing out in 2026, January. But this is different. And why is it so different? Because Pluto is here. So unlike any of the other iterations, there was no Pluto. So this is power. You are transpersonally tasked by a divine intelligent force called Pluto, a portal for some greater evolutionary force for humanity. And you are a vector for it. You are a vehicle for it. You're being possessed by Pluto. So when this happens, when this happened, February 2024 at 6 degrees of Aquarius, I don't care what degree your Aquarius is, you feel it. You are planting a powerful seed of the new you, because you want to do something important with action and passion and will and decisions that is true and powerful, and something that's good for humanity. So whatever seed was planted in February of 24 and closes in January of 26 is being tested by the elastic band that can snap in your relationship to other. Now, audience, fans, trolls, marketplace, marriage partners. Mars is retrograding over the part of the chart that he traveled from November the 4th. So there's things from the past that are riling you up. I'll use me as an example. Holy man, talk about Mika and that guy Mika and Joe or whatever, who got 40% of the people dumping them because they dared to go see Trump. I mean, not just the comments, but then I lost like 200 subscribers in a day or 300 subscribers in a day, more than that, because I'm adding subscribers. I can't, but it was more than that. It was the energy of me feeling, why am I doing this? If I can be right. And one time I'm wrong, and you're just literally your yesterday's news, or you're trashed, or you're the meanness is so intense out there, guys. I'm not mean. Like, I can be snippety and snarly and defensive, a lot of Aries, but I'm not mean. There's a spirit of mean, and people are mean out there. This is the mean time. And so I would say, for example, I will go back and I'll go longer for you Aquarius because I talked about me, but like, I'll have to go back and reassess this, right? I might be really feeling in this video that I'm putting out Monday. You guys are going to be so mean about it, I bet. I don't know. And I'll be like in this tug of war with the audience and going, should I even bother reading the comments? Or I can have a blowout with my partner because I'm in a tension point between what I desire to be and become successful in my work at a late age of my 60s, whereas my partner maybe wants just romantic love and time up together and Netflix, then we might just blow out or something, right? Monday through to Thursday. So the tension here may also be brought on by your partner. They've got the sword or the knife, whether it's the troll in your audience, the bad client, whether it's your significant other, business partner, even with a sharp object pointed at you. This is like a mosquito bite to you in the sense that you're Pluto. So just take a chill pill on it, but it's there. So you're going to feel really intense around other people and their energy coming at you through until Thursday. Then Thursday, you come out of it. Watch for big hangovers on Monday, Tuesday. We're with Dionysius Bacchanalia. So that's not good. Hangovers are bad overuse of some substance. But then as you move to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we get her out of this malefic besiegement, maltreatment storyline. I introduced that in the beginning. Venus is now clear and free. She's hitting Zeus, which is wonderful. And you're going to come out on top. And you're going to feel Thursday through Sunday, I made it through this. I'm on top of it. Even if a bad thing happens, even if your partnership and marriage or business falls apart, somehow you come out feeling like you made it through and you're on top of the King, Queen, Mount Olympian, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You'll notice something wants to happen here. And by the way, you could become very, very, very wealthy in the next 20 years, Pluto in the first house, if you can stand the intensity of Pluto, right? But anyway, You just notice I keep bringing it up, but this fails to mature. So what is it's going on to do with seventh house and 11th house? People, friends, allies, benefactors, social group events, things that want to happen in your career, finances that don't quite materialize the way you thought it would, and you've been waiting for it to happen this week and thought it would show up, but it doesn't. Especially as we get to the 15th, and I see that Mercury changes his mind on something to do with significant others and groups of belonging, gatherings, career gains, and friendship circles. Something just doesn't gel. Finally, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. I'm going to make sure we cover you because sometimes I'm tired at the end and I lose steam. So I'm going to really allow myself to slow it down for you. Okay. Now, you're having enlightenment ask you to pay attention. I don't care if you don't believe in God, nirvana, samadhi, shunyata, the emptiness. I don't care if that's not your cup of tea. Pluto will be asking you to consider the possibility till 2020 for big spiritual awakening. I went through this transit, had massive blowouts in 2011, 2018. And this was because that's why I wrote the Wake and Dreamer blog. And this is a journey that you are going to go through next. Not everybody who's a Pisces will have an enlightenment or two, and I don't mean socially woke, I mean spiritually awake. Okay. All right. So the backdrop of that is that if you went back to 1992 and 1997 and you added 2 years from each of those, 2 whole years, January, just go simplify. January of 92 to 94, January of 97 to 99. What were you doing to do with the following themes that you were trying to accomplish what you desired by taking the appropriate actions and decisions? It would have been foreign land travel and foreign land moves, income and revenue generated from far foreign places, the end of addictions and self-undoing and bad habits and patterns. So that's the themes there. Or love and romantic opportunity from foreign people, foreign places, and foreign shores. Now, this came back again in 2022, January. And it came, 2022, March. And then in February 2024, again, the seed was planted. Venus and Mars co-joined in Aquarius, your 12th house. This is a different seed. Pluto was there in January of 2024. Now, there's no compromise. This is like intense, profound soul work. And it's elimination soul work. What do you need to get rid of and eliminate that is completely no longer useful to your soul, because you're no longer going to fall by the wayside of your family of origin curses, your family of origin childhood trauma, the stuff that you've been sludging through all of your life. You can break it through and down and out the other end. You've got 2 years to accomplish this because Mars is the co-conspirator with Pluto and Venus in this. Some of you may move your home to a foreign land or foreign shore. And with Jupiter's help, that could happen by the end of this year or into next year by selling a property. You may also find that you're due an inheritance in this next couple of years. Some of you may find money coming your way. With this energy of the 12th house, this is solitude, isolation, and aloneness, and Venus is bed pleasures, creativity. What is it you're doing alone that you're enjoying, that you do in isolation, that you do as like a kind of backroom deal of your own deals? Because that is very lucrative for you. So creative projects, I don't know what you're doing alone, home alone, but you could be doing something that's going to be very, very financially prosperous, especially with Jupiter's support from the 4th house. When Venus is breaking free the tension this week, first of all, the tension is between the 6th house and the 12th. Work and spiritual life, pets and something you need to accomplish alone, situations with karmic debt relationships you need to fracture, situations with coworkers and colleagues, a health challenge, injuries, accidents, rashes, heat, temperatures, fevers, Mars coming at you, challenges with your body maybe, or health challenges maybe coming at you Sunday through to Thursday, but you break out of it because Venus in this kind of malefic enclosure vibration with hurling rays from Mars clears the storyline, gets out of the hot mess of flatulent air and feels really on top of her game as she co-joins on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with Zeus and is outside of the difficult rays of Mars and Pluto. You'll feel therefore a lot better about whatever is ailing you, but be careful by Friday through to Sunday. But be careful because, you could have a blowout and quit your job. You could have a blowout and over the pet situation that's really troubling for you. You could have a really difficult situation with a rental property or even a property purchase or sale with the way Jupiter's aligned. So, the dust will settle or the air will clear and you'll feel a lot better Thursday through to Sunday. It's a testing of a longer story to see what is going to really happen here by January 26th. Well, what about that fails to materialize refrainment? Well, Mercury and Mars never really talk. Perhaps a job opportunity that fails to materialize, perhaps a raise promotion that fails to happen, some communication that you thought was going to come from your work situations and actions and decisions you thought you could make about work this week. And you find that you don't really have the chance because Mercury changes his mind. So Mercury changing his mind too. Mercury's like, I don't know. Mercury's like going to attempt to make something happen, but then refrain and go back in another direction. Think about things that were going on in your life around November 7th, and they may be in replay. And by the way, Mars 2, November the 4th, this territory of conflict between boss, work, pets, debts, karmic debts, whatever, crossing through to the 12th house. This is taking you back to stuff that was ongoing and in your face already through a lot of November, including injuries. My sister's Pisces rising had to have surgery. I could think this could be just a setback. Maybe something goes on and she has to have stitches replaced or something. This doesn't have to be a big deal, but you actually want to get through this with a little bit of calm because anyone who's employed and you work for a boss, you may be in a really gnarly, a self-undoing spiral where you're going to quit. Or you're going to force the boss's hand or the colleague coworker space into hidden enemies. There's also that coming into conflict with a hidden enemy and saying hey, I never knew you didn't really want the best for me, and seeing that more clearly Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday into Thursday, but then coming out on top anyway and moving beyond and moving beyond it and moving past it. If it's a hidden enemy, whatever that means to you, it's just somebody you thought was going to be favorable towards you and they really weren't. They had a undermining agenda, especially if it involves work matters. And this is lawsuits, Mars in be careful for, lawsuit conundrums as well, but it's short-lived tension this week, right? So it's building up and it hits apex on the 12th and begins to fade and into better and easier and more luscious territory. I think this is almost a 2-hour video. This is crazy, guys. I try my best not to go long, but then I'm very educational and then I talk world stuff as well. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm coming back to you. My public schedule, Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Sunday, Monday, Thursday. So I'll be back to you on Thursday. We'll be talking about that new moon in Gemini, full moon in Gemini that's coming up on December the 15th, 16th. It's quite amazing. It's got a lot going on Mercury station direct who rules the lunation. It has a lot of intensity about historical patterns and things that have been going on in the election season as well. No, I'm not an election denier. No, I'm not. I do not think this is going to turn around. Okay. So, and I am not a Trumper and I am not a Kamala Harris fan. I will say one thing. It's still possible Joe Biden is going to somehow be acutely ill and that Joe Biden will not be able to finish till the inauguration day on the 20th. And as unlikely as that seems, it does give Kamala the chance to Harris to step up and be a female president for a short time. She already did that, by the way, because Joe had some minor surgery for a day and she was the sworn in president for a day already. But it still could be that story is what's playing out. And that could look more like what all the Democrat card readers and astrologers are trying to force a square peg into a round hole to make it true. Well, like, I could be wrong and I'll eat more crow and then I'll quit my channel, but I just can't find the evidence for that magnitude of a problem. I just can't see it. All right. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. The magnitude of the problem being the election is overturned. Like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you so very, very much.